Today we shall be chatting about Chinese New Year.
It's coming, it's coming, it's coming.
I really don't like it, but yeah.
You're listening to
Jom Sembang, Malaysia.
But why don't you like Chinese New Year?
Because it's the most elaborate festive in my entire calendar.
Okay, because you celebrate like the whole 15 days, is it?
Yeah, almost. You can almost say that the family treats Chinese New Year like a family holiday season together for many days. Like berkampung bersama-sama.
That's kind of nice. Well, I suppose if it's everybody in the family, can be a lot of people in the same place.
Okay lah, it's just my father's clan actually. My mother's clan is down south, which we don't spend time during Chinese New Year because of the traffic jams. So my father's side is probably about 30 to 40 of us. Of course, it grows bigger lah as people get married and have more children, and you have more grandnephew and niece and whatever not. But yeah, so I think one of the things that I wanted to chat about today is my greatest anxiety about Chinese New Year. If you have uncle and aunties who's a little bit particular about culture and stuff like that, it's like when you meet them and then you say Happy Chinese New Year, then they say, oh, you must give a greeting, then give ang pao, then you can receive ang pao, and I'm like, actually I don't really want your ang pao because the whole greeting part is actually quite stressful lah for me lah. But when you go back to Singapore, do they do that? Because my Singapore uncle auntie is even worse in this, It's like if you don't call them correctly by the titles, like the eldest aunt or whatever not, and then after that you don't greet them properly for proper Chinese New Year greetings, they can be a bit bitter about it.
Oh, well, in Singapore, on my mom's side, well, they're all on my mom's side in Singapore. Generally, it's just most of them are just cousins lah. So tak ada issue lah, macam sebaya. You know, not sebaya but sama taraf. The uncle, I've only one living uncle left. My mom's brother and his family. And that's my mom, and then everybody else is
okay lah, not so stressful for you lah.
So no problem.
So like my default greeting is the most common one lah. It's the 恭喜发财.
Oh, I always say 新年快乐.
新年快乐 is also one lah.
Because I'm Mandarin girl, Mandarin.
But do you know what 新年快乐 means?
新is new. 年 year. 快乐 is happy lor.
So it's literally Happy New Year lah.
Yes, correct.
I think in Cantonese we call it 新年快乐. It's the same greeting, but it's Cantonese.
So 恭喜发财 is congratulations, right?
No, may you be happy and prosperous.
Oh.
So there are a few that sometimes I have to remember because they will say, every year 恭喜发财, the most common one. Don't you have any other things to say
okay.
lah?
Wow, got other things some more.
Yeah, so like I learned up a few, like maybe you call 大吉大利, which means great luck and profit. So if you see like an uncle who's a businessman, very good lah, this guy like.
Oh, okay.
大吉大利. So it's
you say correct or not?
I don't know leh. But then they never laugh, so I think should be alright lah. So like the other one, I think your Mandarin better than mine.
Don't like that lah, I shy.
What? 万事如意.
Oh, yes. 万事如意 means?
Everything will go smoothly for you.
Oh, 万事 is like everything ah.
Something like that.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure my pronunciation is quite bad. Actually, you also do such greetings when you 楼上.
Yes, my favorite one is 年年有余, means every year got fish. I don't know
every
why
year,
fish.
Every year got fish is a direct translation, but it also means that fish brings in all this wealth and prosperity and fortune lah. That's why I say every year got good things happening to you. Not like the fish represent good things.
Okay, then we got one more is not sure my pronunciation correct not. 身体健康 means body healthy lah, strong.
Correct.
Yeah,
sounds about that.
Like that. But okay, in my family, cause we baba nyonya ma.
Okay.
So we say in Bahasawan, we say in baba nyonya.
Okay, say something.
Okay, wait.
See whether it's such Chinese New Year.
Oh my gosh, I haven't like
sekali sound like bahasa Melayu.
Panjang umur.
Oh.
Happy New Year, panjang umur, like that lah.
Do you know last year Singapore came out with an app? I mean, for the youngster, I think it was quite interesting lah. Where every time they do their yi sang or their lo sang, right? And then they need to say all these things, right? But they're so stressful. So I think there must be a lot of people like me out there. So someone created an app that has that recording done. That every time before the lo sang, they just press play. Then the fella will say all these things, and then people just toss lah. All these like nian nian liu yi or whatever.
Yeah.
I think this is how the younger generation are coping with this culture thing.
But it's nice to have meaning lah to all these things. It adds to the celebration, I think. Then it becomes more, I don't know, it becomes more meaningful.
I suppose.
Yeah.
So every year you will have your lo sang lah. Normally is what, Chinese New Year Eve or first day or how?
So now it's as early as possible. Actually, right, when I was growing up, there was this thing about only on the 13th day or something
Okay.
like that. Only then you have the yisang will come out. So I think that was in the early years, you know, because
Really?
it was introduced quite in our lifetime lah. Things yisang thing, right? It wasn't something that was inherited, I think.
Yeah, it's only introduced in Malaysia. People in China and other parts of the Chinese countries in the world like, huh, what's this? Is something that
Yeah,
Malaysian people are
exactly.
crazy
So it
about.
was like, you know, it would be something that would happen only on the, if I remember correctly lah, the 13th day. If you're listening and you know the history, please tell us. And then suddenly it became like, oh, for New Year's Eve already can yisang, you know, can lo hei. And then now it's like, yeah, before
Much
Christmas.
earlier. I think the one before Christmas is normally just before Christmas. There's this Chinese festive called Guo Dong, where
Oh.
people eat the tong yun one, the rice ball.
Okay, yeah.
So
yeah.
normally I realized when that happened and it's Chinese New Year nearby, that will be the start of the first
I
Yisang.
see. Winter solstice, is it? Right?
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
So when I was working in the bank last time, well, yeah, I tell you 2 weeks before Chinese New Year, every department lo sang, lo sang, lo sang. By the time you reach Chinese New Year, you don't feel like doing it anymore. You're like,
Okay, I've never reached that stage before. So if you want to treat me to yisang anytime, okay? I haven't got sick of it yet.
Great for you. So, talking about all this tradition thing, I think it's a good time to introduce our sponsor for this episode.
Let's check it out. So this episode is brought to you by Anderson and Abhishek. Our friend Anderson Kalang lah. He gave permission. Thank you so much, bro. So that was the sape and the sita. Do you know what a sita is?
Blank, some sort of guitar, right?
Yeah, so it's like a lute, right? It's a long instrument, a string instrument. It's an Indian traditional instrument. So we had sape, which is from Sarawak, and then we had Indian, which is from India, playing
And then-
Chinese New Year song. Only in Malaysia,
Amazing.
of course.
Of course. Okay. Back to our conversation. I've been quite a home girl actually lah. When I was growing up, right, I'm always spending time with the family during Chinese New Year, and there are certain certain practices that I pick up from my grandmother last time
Okay.
that I learned along the way. So for example, like when people come and visit her, they always come with a bag of something. So,
Oranges?
yeah, normally there's oranges, but then for her, normally because she's quite senior, right? So they give mushroom lah, can of abalone lah, you know, a bit like all these kind of dried materials, so to speak.
Oh, okay.
Not something that you can keep fresh, but
I
mostly
see.
can. But yes, oranges. Oranges was quite an interesting thing because they always give oranges. So my grandma always tells me, okay, bring this bag that this uncle auntie gave. Go inside there, see what's inside there, and pick something of the same value, put in a bag so that I can return that gesture. And I'm like, then you all change the gift, exchange gift like Christmas like that. So there was one time I remember I quite randomly just put together lah. So I look like, let's say maybe it's 2 abalone mushroom or something that I just put back 1 mushroom, 1 abalone from somewhere else lah. Okay. And then I remember putting in 3 oranges or something like that. Then she said, after she looked at it, then she actually tegur me leh. During Chinese New Year, when you give oranges, must be even number.
Yes.
2, No, 4. 6, 8. So normally it's 2 lah, won't be 6 lah. 4 is because it's a bad number for Chinese.
Yeah, so that's okay. I always knew about the even number thing, but I always was wondering about 4 because how do I know which groups or which families don't like the 4 and which, like, I think my family have got no issues with the 4. I think I've got a $4 ang pao quite.
Oh yeah,
often.
$4 but there was one quite popular. There was one time when the 2 ringgit note was still available in Malaysia.
Ah.
Yeah, then we had a lot of 2 ringgit, 4 ringgit. kind
So
of thing.
4 is odd number, so cannot.
Even number lah.
Sorry, yeah.
4
is even number. So
all even numbers are fine, not odd numbers.
but it's 4.
I don't know. Some people pantang, some people don't lah.
Okay. So then makes me think, if 4 is an issue, then 5 nice what? 5 nice round number what? So cannot, is it?
Not encouraged according to
Okay.
grandma.
Do you know why?
They said good things come in pairs.
Do they?
Yeah, so that was the theory or so called the idea behind it lah.
Oh.
Anyway, I'm always intrigued with this whole giving thing. So because when you're much younger, you don't do that. But from what I've seen grandma doing it, so every time we visit someone during Chinese New Year or we are meeting for Chinese New Year lunch, I tend to bring something for everyone lah. Whether it's just 2 oranges in some weird paper bag, it still counts lah.
For the record, Gina does that for Christmas too. She brings something for everyone if she can. So I suppose it's something that has become a practice for you lah.
Some sort like
Don't
that
come
lah.
empty-handed
It's like
kind of thing.
Chinese New Year time is the time you share blessings. And then people share with you, that kind of things lah. So I mean, I'm not saying that there are times where we have to visit 4 houses a day. Okay, so we normally bring maybe 2 bags maximum of
Yes.
things, and then we go there, and then the person give us a bag. We look at, okay, this one can go to the other side.
Yes.
So it's sort of recycled.
Kind of.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end it's the same thing lah. So yeah. So the most popular one in the bags are abalones in can, mushrooms, and oranges. These are the few. Of course, you have bird nest and ginseng if you're slightly more well-to-do.
Ah.
Yeah.
So I've been giving for the seniors lah. Bakwa.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
So like talking about sharing blessing, right? I believe red ang pao giving is also a blessing lah. So the general understanding is if you are married, you should be giving, right?
Yes.
So right, they always say if it's your first year of marriage, you should give double.
Okay.
So we always target the first year one because it's supposed to be double lah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the other part that I always believe that when you give, how youngsters nowadays I find last time lah, they have this whole they give the ang pao and then they receive. They always take one hand like thank you, like nothing like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
my grandma will always say if you don't take it 2 hands, then I'm not giving it back to you.
So
I'm
how
not
take
giving-
back?
Yeah, she will just not let go lah. Yeah,
I
so
like
you're
that, I
supposed
like
to
that.
receive blessings sincerely with both hands, full of
Yes.
concentration.
I think I do receive it with both hands. I think it's a polite thing to do, you know. It's not like, thank you lah. Like, you
Something
know,
like
like
that
you're
lah.
obligated to give something. Somehow we're like adults, right? So even more lah, paiseh lah.
So I think the other part was there was one Chinese New Year, my cousin who was like, far away lah. Maybe he went back to Penang or something, in-laws place and whatever. And so happened that Chinese New Year somehow we didn't meet. Okay, then my mother was making a fuss about must pass the ang pao to to the children, which is my niece and nephew. And I'm like, but you never meet, so like so after that, at the end of the day, my question was, do you still need to give ang pao to your family or relatives if you don't meet them in the 15 days of Chinese New Year?
Okay, I think you don't need to. Actually, there is no need to do anything, isn't it? It's you want to give because you want to give, right? So
That's
even
true.
as single, sometimes we give ang pao to the seniors that we want to appreciate and that we want to love, right? So it's not a need to thing. But I do know people who, because they think of that person so much, I didn't see you this year, but I still want to give ang pao, you know. So like during COVID, right? Wow, got titi to my mother. That was so sweet lah, you know. It's like, oh wow.
Yeah, I think giving to seniors is quite, how to say, expected lah. If you really respect the person. So like my mom, during the 15-day Chinese New Year, she might meet her friends. Like
Okay.
friends that is not my friends lah, her friends, okay? And then her friends say, oh, you got 3 children, right? Oh, not married. Then she give ang pao. Then my mom will feel like, ayah. Then
Now I
she
have to
ask,
give
how
back.
many children you have? And then she get ang pao. And then the ang pao that she get is not like she can keep, you know. So at the end of the Chinese New Year, like Chap Gourmet on the 15th, when she finally, we normally meet for dinner, she'll come. It's all written there with my name, Gina. Then my sister's name, Anna, Jason. Don't know which auntie lah.
Yes.
And it could be a decent pile, like a 10
Yes.
to 15 ang pao. And I'm like, okay, so weird.
So yeah, so I used to collect. Okay, not like collect, but people used to pass to my mother or to me and say, "These for your nephews. This for your grandchildren."
Wow.
Yeah. So then I have to go inside and write name cause cannot mix up, right? So and then come back, ferry back to them lah. This one is from uncle who, auntie who. Normally it's the aunties lah that give. Sometimes got uncle, but most of the time I notice the
Most
aunties
of the
take
times
care one.
aunties.
So,
So like my
yeah.
uncle aunties, I think only one couple that the men would give.
Very
Then sometimes
rare.
he give that. I said, oh, I remember when I was very young, the first few time at the first recall, right, was he give that. I said, oh, your wife gave me. My wife gave. Okay, I give. So I was like, okay.
Wow.
So ever since that, I remember every year he would give. His wife would give. He would
so
give.
Separately.
Separately.
Okay.
Yeah,
That one
so-
I haven't experienced yet.
Yeah. So I really don't know what's the practice behind it lah.
Okay.
But like you said, I do give it to the elders that I really respect. I mean, parents is given one.
Yeah.
And then when my grandmother lah.
Yeah.
So I remember when I first give, right, my siblings, my younger siblings, all like, I thought we not yet married, why must
Yeah,
give?
right?
So I was like, but I got my first paycheck already that year. So I decided to give. And I think these are cultures that we should keep so that the younger generation can also learn how to respect or just honor their
Yeah.
elders lah.
Yeah.
So are you prepared to give some this year?
Yes.
When you are in Singapore, do you give ringgit or Singapore dollars?
Sing dollar lah, yo.
Just curious lah, how I know.
Ayo, so kasihan, if you put in the ringgit in Singapore
But you are collecting ang pao in Singapore
Correct,
dollar,
correct,
right? So
correct.
you come back darab tiga, okay?
Betul.
So
It's yeah,
no
yeah.
complaint.
So to be fair, actually, half the time, most of the time, it's enough to cover my transportation there and back lah.
Okay, so they just pay for you to just go and
Yeah,
come
yeah,
back
yeah.
lah.
It's like, hey, will I sponsor your travel lah?
Okay, so I think Chinese New Year, the last time when my grandmother stayed in a landed property, and then outside the landed property, there's a bit of a land, and then got trees, and then I remember, right, we used to like, when the leaves fall, and then you just sweep at the end of the day. That time I was very young, and she said no sweeping,
Yes.
and I'm like, why suddenly? But it's so dirty leh. I always get scolded for not sweeping, but the day that I decided to sweep is like, kenapa kena marah?
Sebab all the prosperity come to you, then you sweep away. So some people will say it's superstition.
Okay.
So I don't believe in superstition, but sometimes it's kind of nice to just not do lah, just because. I mean, not because lazy, right? Which that helps too.
This is like
But
holiday
it's like a thing
celebration.
lah. It's a thing lah, for Chinese New Year. So, in fact, we even make sure that everybody mandi everything. And this is quite weird lah, because after we wake up, we still mandi anyway.
Okay.
But New Year's Eve, after the dinner and everything, and then mop house, because
Okay.
tomorrow cannot already, but
Correct.
quickly mop house. And then there was even one time we would like change bedsheet everything on the night before, and I'm thinking, why does it have to be like the night before? When the whole day we got time one, why we gotta do it at night? But
The
I
last
think
thing of the
the
year.
last thing, like, okay, faster change, But it's something to remember, like something to mark the switch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talking about Chinese New Year Eve, I remember I really learned the meaning of Chinese New Year Eve during MCO. There was one year during MCO where there's restriction, yet you can only travel within 10 km even though it's
Yes.
Chinese New Year and all the stuff, right? Okay, and then you can only travel or visit people on the first and second day of Chinese New Year. That was like part of the rule or something
Okay,
like that.
okay.
Okay, and then all the Chinese folks in the country went a bit nuts because
Yes.
the biggest event about Chinese New Year is Chinese New Year Eve reunion dinner.
Correct.
It's like,
and
please let us go home on reunion Eve. Don't go home on the first day, never mind.
yes.
And that was when I realized the importance of Chinese New Year reunion.
The reunion,
dinner.
right?
Yeah.
And do you remember at that time? I think to us it's something that we understand, but I think a lot of people who were not part of the culture didn't quite get it. You could see in the way the ruling
comments
was
and
written.
the traits and stuff like that.
Remember or not? It was like, oh, you can do visitation in your own house. They were like, and how is that visitation?
Correct.
Or yeah, but the whole thing about reunion lah, it's that coming together at the end of the year, I think,
Yeah.
right? And I remember also watching a documentary in China, and because I suppose in China, right, it's such a spread out country. Everybody's like working everywhere else,
Yeah.
you know, and sometimes you don't see them. And this was traditionally, right? Maybe
Yeah.
not now. You got your texts and everything, but last time you don't even know if somebody was still alive or still okay, and
True.
they make it back, and at the end of the year you can celebrate that.
Yeah.
These are the people who are still with us, and they come back, and then cross into the new year together lah. I think quite meaningful lah when you think of it that way lah.
Yes,
Kan?
it is. So like this Chinese New Year, I hope that you guys would just make time to go back for Chinese New Year reunion dinner. I mean, if you're not going back, meet up with some friends who maybe don't have a family around you
Yes.
as well. Just end the year together and not be alone, because then it's a different thing lah. It's almost like Thanksgiving Chinese New Year style.
Yeah, and this is the first year we actually get to do it. Is it?
Second maybe.
Second.
I mean, last year people were still a little bit careful about meeting and gatherings, but this
Yeah.
year it's like back to full blown.
Yeah. So for me, I suppose it's because of the overseas travel lah.
Yeah.
So if your family is not here, or if you've got family members who are not here, then it might be the first since COVID.
Yeah.
So yes, have a very, very meaningful and happy Chinese New Year. Now all we say, 新年快乐.
恭喜发财. Jom Sembang Malaysia is hosted by two Malaysian friends who are passionate about Malaysian stuff.
Stay tuned every week for a brand new Sembang session with Juwita Suito and Gina Yap Layung.